You ready, Rose?
Still letting them in. There's a lot. I'm sorry. I only have 4 more to go, so we're getting there. Okay, I'm gonna start turning off anybody who's not on the board. I'm gonna turn off your video until it's time to speak. I'm sorry, there's more coming in still.
Rose, are you recording the public hearing on Zoom also?
We are, and it's also being live streamed. All of our meetings are required to be live streamed, so we'll have a full recording, and as well as I said, I'd send you the script.
All right.
I see on here too, Rick Jones has joined. He's part of our board as well. Okay. And Diane Einen, you saw she joined as well for the board. They're still coming in, Jimmy. It's up to you how you want to proceed on this.
Well, I want to get started. I mean, they could be coming in for the next half an hour, right?
Yeah,
So let's get started.
sounds good to me.
Can you let them in as we go along?
Yes, I can.
Fine. Okay, good evening. My name is James Malcolm. I'm the chair of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. As you all are well aware, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the agency is holding this public hearing by remote access Zoom. Given the number of people attending this public hearing and the issues relating to technology, before we get started this evening, I am going to ask our remote access host, our CEO, Rose Woodworth, to review our operating rules for the conducting of this public hearing. Rose?
Thank you, Jeremy. As the host, I have muted everyone's line so that we keep the background noise to a minimum. I'm still going through and finishing shutting off video for anybody that still has video, and it will be turned back on when it's your turn to speak. All participants can enter and leave the public hearing at your convenience. However, our space in this meeting is limited, and we ask that you watch the meeting via our live stream if you're not planning to comment or after you have finished commenting, so that we can keep availability for everyone that needs to speak. Once I'm done reading these, I'll put the actual link for our live stream in the chat so that it's easy for everyone to find. If anyone has any problems, please call or email our office at 845-943-4600, or you can email us at info@ulstercountyida.com. When we get to the public comment section of the hearing, please indicate that you want to make a comment if you have not already done so by signing up ahead of time by using Zoom's raise your hand feature. If you are joining from a computer, open the participants window by clicking on the participants button at the bottom of the screen. Once the window opens to the right of the screen, you will see a button to raise hand at the bottom of the window. If you are using your cell phone to join the meeting, you need to tap on the 3 dots at the bottom of the screen and then select the raise hand button from there. If you are unable to join through the Zoom app and have instead joined by phone, there is no way to use the raise hand feature. So we ask that you call or email our office. Again, the number is 845-943-4600, and the email address is info@ulstercountyida.com, so we can add your name to our list. We will do our best to recognize you in order. If you are on Zoom under an alias, We will not be able to identify you to speak as part of the pre-sign up process. Please use your proper name or wait in line with the others that have used the raise your hand feature. We will do our best to recognize you in order, as I said. I will state your name as listed on the sign-up sheet or as you are listed in Zoom. You will then get a request to unmute yourself and turn your video back on. When you are recognized, you should state your full name and address. You may be asked to spell your name aloud, so we have it properly recorded for our meeting transcript. In order to give everyone an opportunity to speak, we will have to insist that comments are limited to 3 minutes. Once you're done speaking for the 3 minutes, we will mute you and turn your video back off to give the next person an opportunity to speak without any background noise or distractions. Lastly, we want to make clear that the agency will be holding the public comment period open following the evening's public hearing. So if for any reason you're not able to make a comment tonight, there will be an opportunity to provide written comments following the public hearing. Thank you for your attention and patience while we try to navigate a virtual public hearing. I will now turn the meeting back over to our chair, James Malcolm.
Okay, bear with us, Rose. Before we get started, are there any more logistical things that you have to handle so everyone's on the same footing?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, so we're good to go. So let's get started. Please, everyone, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission statement of the agency is the following. The mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonds, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new business and the retention and expansion of existing business. Joining Rose and I tonight are several board members. I'm not going to leave anyone out. I'm going to name the entire board, but who I see present are Daniel Savona, Dr. Diane Einen, Richard Jones. We also have Faye Storms, Orlando Reese, and Mike Ham. I'm sure they're out there somewhere. I'd like to introduce our legal counsel for the board, Joseph Ariel, and our bond counsel, Joseph Hodgson from Hodgson and Russ. Okay, we are holding this public hearing this evening to allow citizens to make a statement for the record relating to the involvement of the agency with a project for the benefit of the Kingstonian Development LLC, a New York State limited liability company. The proposed project consists of the following. A, one, the acquisition of an interest in certain parcels of land containing in the aggregate approximately 2.72 acres and located on Fair and North Front Streets in the city of Kingston, Ulster County, New York. Together with the existing improvements located thereon, the demolition of the existing facility, the construction of a public access pedestrian plaza on the land, the construction of an approximately 420 car parking garage, the construction on the land of various improvements, including approximately 143 residential units, including approximately 14 affordable housing units, approximately 9,000 square feet of commercial space, and an approximately 32-room boutique hotel, and the acquisition and installation therein and thereon of certain machinery, equipment, and other personal property. I have a lot of parentheses here, I apologize. All of the foregoing to be owned by the company and operated as a mixed-use residential, commercial, hotel, parking, and retail facility, and any other directly and indirectly related activities. The granting of certain financial assistance within the meaning of section 854, parentheses 84 of the Act, with respect to the foregoing, including potential exemptions from certain sales and use taxes, real property taxes, real estate transfer taxes, and mortgage recording taxes. Collectively, the financial assistance and the lease or sale of the project facility to the company or such other person as may be designated by the company and agreed upon by the agency. I intend to provide general information on the agency's general authority and public purpose to provide assistance on this proposed project. I will then open the comment period to receive comments from all present who wish to comment on either the proposed project or the financial assistance contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. However, before discussing the general information and opening hearing for public comments, I would like to first describe some details regarding this project as outlined in the completed application. In the application, the company has represented the following. One, that the project will create at least 40 full-time equivalent jobs following the second year of operation of the project facility. The creation of these jobs will increase local tax revenue and consumer spending in the community. Two, that the company would not undertake the project without the assistance being offered by the agency. Three, that the company understands and recognizes that the assistance being offered by the agency is subject to clawback under the agency's clawback policy if the company does not complete the project or maintain the required employment levels. The estimated costs of the project are equal to approximately $54,885,000, and the estimated benefits being considered by the agency are described briefly as follows. One, sales tax exemption, $1,480,000. Mortgage recording tax exemption, $325,575. Real property tax exemption, $28,942,271. A table describing the proposed amount of pilot payments to be paid by the company is on the agency's website. The proposed pilot abatement schedule constitutes a deviation under the agency's uniform tax exempt policy. Please note the following with respect to the proposed pilot structure. Under the proposed pilot structure, the amount of existing property taxes being paid by the company will not be decreased. The proposed pilot structure is a deviation. Under the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, the agency generally requires the approval of the local affected taxing jurisdictions with respect to any such deviation. Accordingly, the company needs to attain the approvals of the City of Kingston, the Ulster County Legislature, and the City of Kingston School District to the proposed pilot structure. Lastly, under the IDA documents, the company will be subject to recapture of the financial assistance upon the occurrence of certain recapture events. Examples of recapture events include the failure to complete the proposed project and make the promised investment and maintenance of the promised job levels. The provisions of Chapter 1030 of Laws of 1969 of New York, constituting Title I of Article 18-A of the General Municipal Law, Chapter 24 of the Consolidated Laws of New York is amended, and Chapter 787 of the 1976 Laws of New York as amended, constituting Section 923 of said General Municipal Law, collectively known as the Act, authorizing the agency to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, and equipping and furnishing of manufacturing, warehousing, research, commercial, and industrial facilities, among others. Okay, pursuant to Section 859-A, subsection 2 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, the Act, prior to the agency providing any financial assistance as defined in the Act of more than $100,000 to any project, the agency, among other things, must hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 859-A of the Act with respect to said project. Since the proposed financial assistance to be provided by the agency with respect to the proposed project may exceed $100,000, then prior to providing any financial assistance as defined in the Act of more than $100,000 to the proposed project, the agency must hold a public hearing on the nature and location of the project facility and the proposed financial assistance to be provided by the agency with respect to the proposed project. After consideration of the application received from the company, the members of the agency adopted a resolution on September 9, 2020, authorizing the agency to conduct this public hearing with respect to the proposed project pursuant to Section 859-A, subsection 2 of the Act. By way of background, notice of this public hearing was published on September 21st, 2020 in the Daily Freeman, a newspaper of general circulation, available to the residents of the city of Kingston, Ulster County, New York. In addition, as required by New York law, the notice of this public hearing was mailed on September 21st, 2020 to the mayor of the city of Kingston, the chairman of the county legislature of Ulster County, and the superintendent and board of education president, of the Kingston City School District. Lastly, copies of the public hearing notice were posted on September 22nd, 2020 on a public bulletin board located at the City of Kingston City Hall, located at 420 Broadway in the City of Kingston, Ulster County, New York, and on September 21st, 2020 on the agency's website. Copies of this notice of this public hearing are available on the agency's website. Now, unless there is any objection, I'm going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead requesting the full text of the notice of this public hearing be inserted into the record of this public hearing. The comments received today at this public hearing will be presented to the members of the agency at or prior to the meeting at which the members of the agency will consider whether to approve the undertaking of the proposed project. When everyone has had an opportunity to speak, I will conclude this public hearing. A record of this public hearing will be prepared and reviewed by the members of the agency in connection with, again, I apologize, the agency's consideration of the proposed project. In order to ensure that the public has adequate time to provide comment to the agency on this proposed project, the agency will hold a comment period for this proposed project until 5 p.m. on October 14th, 2020. All comments received by the close of business on October 14th, 2020 will be included in the official record of the agency with respect to the proposed project. Again, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit public comment. We're not here to answer questions. I will now ask if there is anyone attending the public hearing who wishes to comment on either the nature and location of this project facility or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. For the record, please state your name and indicate your comments on either the proposed project or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. I am now going to turn this back over to our CEO, Rose Woodward.
Thanks, Jimmy. So our first speaker tonight is Ron Woods, and I can't find him on here. And there's no hand raised. So I'm going to ask that Ron I just want to clarify again, everyone, if you're on here under an alias, I won't be able to find you if you signed up ahead of time. So Ron, I'm going to have to ask that you raise your hand as part of the feature on here, or call the office or send an email in order to. The next one that had signed up is Paul Cashero. I hope this is the right Paul. Okay, Paul, I've sent you a request to unmute and to start your video. Okay.
What's the issue?
I can't
Yeah,
tell you.
fine.
I've sent him the request to unmute and he hasn't unmuted and he hasn't undone his video. I assume that's the right Paul. So Paul, I'll ask that you raise your hand also if you'd like to talk. Okay, the next one on here is Dan Baker. I did find that one. All right, Dan, you're ready to go?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Baker, and I'm the City of Kingston's real property tax assessor. Quite often, as you know, the term pilot has come to have a negative connotation stemming from public misconception, misunderstanding about real property tax law and General Municipal Law 18A as handed down by New York State. One public misconception is that a taxing jurisdiction will receive less money because the pilot is agreed to. This couldn't be further from the truth. As a point of clarity, a taxing jurisdiction extends a tax levy which is equal to their budget minus any other income or payments. The taxing jurisdiction then receives that levy through property tax payments. If a new project is built in a taxing jurisdiction, no new additional money is received by that taxing jurisdiction. Property tax in New York State is zero sum. Additionally, it is not widely known or understood that industrial development agencies are in place to foster economic development and to promote the overall economic welfare for the community they serve, and the payment in lieu of tax instrument is one of the many tools granted to IDAs by New York State to do this. The City of Kingston, at time working with this IDA and at times alone, have used payment in lieu of tax agreements that follow real property tax law to support senior housing, skilled nursing care, and affordable housing to build a foundation for a well-balanced community. Many times, pilot agreements have been structured so that pilot payments and investments outweigh what future real property tax responsibility would be. Similarly, the Kingstonian proposed pilot follows this model. When adding up public investment for the construction, maintenance, operation, and financing of a public parking garage, public bathrooms, privately subsidized affordable housing, Kingston Consolidated School District scholarships, internships, and monetary payments above current property tax responsibility, the proposed public investment far outweigh an estimated property tax payment that would be required to be paid after development. If the City of Kingston alone were to build, finance, operate, and maintain just the garage itself, it is estimated to cost the city about $30 million over 25 years. This would cost the average property owner thousands of dollars over the next 25 years. The proposed Kingstonian pilot structure will allow private investment into a much needed public infrastructure without raising public funds through the property tax levy to do it. After the public investment is paid off with private funds, this property will return to the taxable portion of the assessment roll. Adding these ratables, also known as physical increases to the assessment roll, is an additional benefit to the community after the pilot term has ended. Over a 50-year period, the estimated property tax payments made by the current properties in question with no pilot and no project are dwarfed by $65 million when comparing them to monetary and property tax payments if the pilot and project move forward. This analysis excludes public investment. This fact highlights the importance of inducing projects that will add value to the taxable portion of the assessment roll at a future date for public welfare. I want to thank the IDA board, council, and staff for considering my comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay. There was something skipped in the script for tonight. So I'm gonna unmute Dan Ahouse, and he's going to speak on behalf of the project. And then we'll go back to regular public comment. Okay, Dan, I've selected to unmute you and asked you to start your video.
Thank you, Rose. On behalf of the Kingstonian team, thank you, Chairman Malcolm and members of the IDA board for this opportunity to speak and for your leadership in assessing the very complex and unique pilot application before you for the Kingstonian project. It's been an honest and sometimes difficult negotiation process, but we're comfortable it will deliver a truly transformational project for the city of Kingston and all of Ulster County. As you know, this project was requested by the city of Kingston to address the need for expanded public parking in Uptown Kingston without any negative impact on taxpayers. The Kingstonian delivers on that request and much more. In addition to doubling the public parking capacity, the project will deliver affordable housing, a public park, public restrooms, an ADA compliant connection to the Kingston Plaza, 357 construction jobs, and 153 permanent jobs, generating millions of dollars in sales tax revenue, 32 rooms generating occupancy taxes, and 300 new consumers sleeping, eating, and shopping in the Uptown Business District, all without any tax increases. Many of these elements were added by the developers in response to concerns raised by the public and by our elected leaders. This community partnership is a long-term investment in the health and stability of our local economy and community, and it's made possible by the reinvestment of tax savings into public infrastructure. The project, as you know, enjoys strong support from residents and business owners throughout Kingston and Ulster County. But out of respect for the challenges of holding a public hearing during a pandemic, we'll be submitting the approximately 35 comments from business and community leaders and approximately 500 comments from the general public in support of the project that were recently shared with the county legislature and the Kingston School Board in writing, instead of backlogging the line for in-person comments here tonight. What you'll see in these comments will include, however, former Alderman at Large Jimmy Noble, who said in his written comment, "This is absolutely one of the best pilots I have ever seen in my more than 2 decades of public service," as well as former Kingston Mayor Jimmy Satile, who said, "I view this project as an integral component of Kingston and Ulster County's future." Just on a quick personal note, I've been working since 2008 when I was chief of staff to then Congressman Maurice Hinchey to try to solve this parking problem in Uptown Kingston and to deliver new consumers to support our local businesses who at the time were struggling against competition from big box stores and now face e-commerce challenges on a daily basis, not to mention the economic destruction caused by COVID-19. I believe, without a doubt in my mind, that this is the best and possibly last chance to solve our uptown parking problem and to do it in a way that signals that to investors both inside and outside of Ulster County that we are open for business, that we will work with community-minded private partners to find creative solutions to the challenges that our businesses and residents face. Since the parking garage was torn down in 2008, 3 mayoral administrations in Kingston have worked with county, state, and federal leaders to try to solve the parking problem. Let's not let this be the last best opportunity to do so and pass us by. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I just want to clarify, you don't have anybody else from your project, right, Brad or Joe, to speak, right?
Brad Jordan is on the call, but he's not going to be speaking.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't skip over that. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So while someone was speaking, I did get a call from someone who I had missed in the front because their name, they had called in. So I'm gonna call Ron Woods, and I'm just pulling up his phone number now so I can find him here to unmute. Yikes.
Okay, if you can't get them,
I'm
move on to
skipping
the
it.
next.
Yes, I'm skipping it now, and I'm going to go to Paul Cashero. Paul, I've asked you to unmute. And I'm turning on your video.
There I am. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I'm sorry, this is my 4th Zoom meeting today, and I still don't have it down. So my apologies.
No one does yet.
This is the new norm. So I don't really have anything prepared. The only thing I can say is I looked at this pilot, and it seems to be one of the better crafted pilots that the city of Kingston and the county of Ulster and the IDA have crafted. over the last few years, it appears that it really delivers for the entire community, not just a certain segment of the community. Having some clawbacks in this pilot, I think, is very important. I haven't seen clawbacks in other pilots, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but this one certainly does have them. The tax difference between this pilot and some of the other pilots in the city of Kingston is tremendous. Almost 4 times the tax revenue over 30 years compared to similar pilots. This pilot serves the entire community. It doesn't serve a small section. Parking garage will be here for everyone. We've tried to build a parking garage for 20 years. Teicher couldn't do it because in order to do it, he needed the building to be ridiculously high and out of character with the Stockade District. This building fits in with the Stockade District, and we're lucky that we have a developer who owns property, because without that property, this project would probably not be getting done as well. So I encourage the board to vote positively on this pilot. I think there's a positive tax impact immediately. There's a positive impact to every business owner, not just in the Uptown District, but I think we're trying to bridge Uptown and Downtown. And I think having an additional attraction in the Uptown Kingston region is extremely positive for all the business owners of the city of Kingston. I believe you received a tremendous amount of letters from the Chamber of Commerce members, all in favor of this project. There are some ancillary benefits to this project as far as housing is concerned. There's 143 residents, I believe. Some of them are low income. Most of them are middle income. One of the ancillary benefits will be transitional housing for middle income people. It'll really enable a surplus of homes possibly to come on the market, which will help the housing crunch we have locally. If we can pierce a hole in this bubble that we're seeing locally with housing, and it's done through some transitional housing for middle income people, I can't see this as a negative. So as I said, compared to the previous pilots that we've seen, I don't think any other pilot also has agreed to share some profit with us. That's very important. So obviously I'm for this pilot. I think it's going to be a great project for the city of Kingston. It's long overdue. It's for everyone in the city of Kingston. So I just want to thank you all for your time.
Paul, I just want to ask you, can you please state your address for the record?
Sure. My name is Paul Cashero. I live at 387 Clifton Avenue in Kingston, and I also own a business in Uptown Kingston.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Okay, next on our list is Ward Todd. Ward, you're getting a request to unmute yourself and to start your video.
Okay, thanks, Rose, and thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the IDA board. My name is Ward Todd. I'm the president of the Ulster County Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're at 214 Fair Street, just 3 blocks from this project. So we definitely have an interest in it and have been watching it with a lot of interest over the last couple of years. Our organization has been advocating for responsible, sustainable economic development for over 100 years, before the last pandemic. And we feel this project is one of the best that we have seen. Our board of directors reviewed the facts about this project and voted to support it fully. And we are urging the IDA to approve their application, which is in front of you tonight. We believe it's abundantly clear when Kingston officials asked for proposals to build an uptown parking garage at no cost to city taxpayers, that a payment in lieu of taxes would be essential to offset the cost of construction and maintenance of that garage. For the city to build the garage and maintain it, it's estimated the tax increase on property owners would be over $33 million over 25 years. So bringing in a qualified developer and a qualified property manager without question makes the most sense. By building the garage privately, the project will not cost a single dollar to any resident of the city of Kingston or the Kingston Consolidated School District. There also will not be a reduction in property taxes, as had been rumored. The payment of lieu of taxes simply gives the developer an opportunity and the necessary time to build out and scale this facility. And what do we get with a Kingstonian? A first-class project, 143 market rate and affordable housing apartments, 420 space parking garage, 32-room boutique hotel, and 9,000 square feet of restaurant and retail space. It will create 300 new consumers between the apartments and the hotel, creating 153 jobs between construction and the ripple effect, and add this beautiful pedestrian plaza, which will act as a public park for folks to gather and enjoy the space between the buildings. You and I and our neighbors, as well as the many travel visitors we see, will now have a place to park uptown so everyone can shop and spend their money, creating a new revenue stream. It's estimated the Kingstonian will be responsible for $300,000 a year in new revenue from sales property and occupancy taxes. Many of you have spent most, if not all, of your lives here in Ulster County. You know that it does not happen that often in a lifetime when a project this great, this significant presents itself. The Chamber of Commerce believes the Kingstonian is the right project at the right time, in the right place, with the right developers. We urge you to approve the pilot and allow it to be built. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ward. Okay, so next on our list is Rennie Scott Childress. Rennie, I found you. I'm asking you to unmute and I'm asking you to turn on video if you choose.
Great. Thank you, Rose. And thank you to the members of the IDA for allowing us to speak tonight. I'm Rennie Scott Childress. I live at 62 Lounsbury Place in Kingston. I also serve as an alderman on the Kingston Common Council. The Kingstonian is a community-based project. It did not begin with the developers. It began with the city's RFP to produce a desperately needed parking garage in Uptown at no cost to taxpayers in Kingston. These structures are expensive, so the current project is an ingenious solution. A pilot to support its construction is essential to its success. So why is this project so necessary? There are three overall points I'd like to make. First of all, it has environmentally sustainable elements. It provides density of housing in a place that fits perfectly. It provides walkability, both for the residents who will live there, but also for the people who will drive into town, can park their cars safely, and then walk around. It's also urban infill. It's building on a place that's been built on before, so it will not be causing any great disruptions to either the environment or the built environment. Next, it's also near a transportation hub, just 2 blocks away from a bus line that can take people down to the city, which will further reduce car traffic in Kingston. Second is housing. A city, in order to develop evenly, must have adequate housing at various income levels. I think it's important to consider the Kingstonian in the context of other developments that have gone on recently. East Square just opened, which provides 50-some units of affordable housing. Landmark Place, the old almshouse, will be opening next summer, which provides scores more of affordable housing units. The county is in the process of developing the old jail site, which will be more affordable housing units. And the city is currently discussing the possibility of building yet another affordable rate housing development with 50 or 60 or even more units in Midtown. We've used pilots for these types of projects, so it's only right that we would use one to build this crucial development for housing in Uptown. We are also in dire need of housing at the market rate level. That's why this project is so crucial. It's been decades since we've had a housing development of this importance, of this type. Last of all, in terms of housing, no one will be displaced. We're not tearing down any buildings where people live currently. We're not moving anybody out of the neighborhood. This is a wonderful housing project. Last of all, the economy. This will create a vital economic anchor for Uptown. It builds in a customer base that will have a wide array of necessities met within easy walking distance of the facility. The garage is crucial to bringing in other people besides the residents who will be able to generate lots of business for our Uptown businesses. It's going to double the current parking capacity. It will generate vast amount of economic benefit with new businesses and more jobs. It will create a vital hub of energy and activity in Uptown. And it will have a significant knock-on effect in the rest of the city, generating more businesses and more jobs throughout all of Kingston. I completely agree that the developers must pay their fair share of the cost of this project. That is why it is essential that this pilot be approved. The developers are responding to local needs, and they are local people. They are us. The pilot is right for the residents of Kingston because this is us moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rennie. Okay. Next, I have Lynn Archer. Lynn, I'm just searching your name. I've unmuted you and asked you to start your video. You're still muted, Lynn.
Thank you. Thanks, Rose.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Lynn Archer, legislator from District 21, the town of Rochester and the hamlet of Kerhonkson. I have spoken with several of my fellow legislators, and we're all in agreement around the following. We believe and we support responsible economic development within Ulster County, and we appreciate all the hard work that's been completed to date by the board members. But we strongly encourage the Ulster County IDA to engage an independent third-party firm to undertake a cost-benefit analysis of the Kingstonian project and to present the results of these findings to the various taxing authorities. We are currently relying on the people benefiting from the project to provide the projected costs of the project without validation from an independent third party who has the knowledge of these types of complex endeavors. This is a multi-use, multi-perspective project that is extremely complex. We believe that we all have a fiduciary responsibility to the residents of Ulster County, and that an independent review should be undertaken immediately by a firm which routinely does these types of reviews for other IDAs. Thank you, and appreciate the ability to give some comment.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, next is Tony Marmo. Let's see if I can find. Okay, I can't find you under Tony or Anthony or your last name. So I'm going to ask that you either call the office or email us to let me know what name you are under on here, please. Next is Jim Shaunzi. Jim, I requested you unmute and I turned on your video capability. Did you hit the unmute?
Okay, I'm unmuted and I
There you
am
go.
on video, I think, right?
You are.
Okay, my name is James Shaunzi. I live at 11 Delta Place in Kingston. Some of you may know that I am a member of the Kingston City School District Board of Education, but I need to state that I am making this statement in my capacity as a private citizen and not on behalf of the school board. This project has not been presented formally to the school board yet. I believe that has to take place after the IDA approves the final application after the public comment period. I could be wrong about that. But what I am going to say will be about the impact of a pilot on school district finances. And I am frankly unable to dissociate myself from my knowledge about that. It's indisputable, and I think this is in contradiction to what Mr. Baker said, that pilots do not have a positive impact on school district finances. The school district is subject to tax cap legislation, which limits the growth of our tax levy, the total amount collected by taxes on properties. If there is new construction, the State Department of Taxation and Finance calculates a tax base growth factor that allows for a small increase in the tax levy limit. When the new construction is under a pilot, the growth factor is 0 at the beginning of the agreement. and it is not included in the growth factor at the end of the agreement. So the district's tax levy limit is permanently reduced below what it would be without a pilot. For the Kingstonian with an assessed value of $19 million, this reduction totals more than $15 million in the 25 years of the pilot, and in the next 25 years, it totals almost $24 million, more than $39 million over 50 years. The developers published a flyer yesterday that claims that the Kingstonian will yield its school district more than $41 million in new revenue over 50 years. That is categorically wrong. The developers don't seem to understand school district finances. They don't seem to understand the impact of a pilot on school district finances. And frankly, the mayor and the common council and perhaps Dan Baker don't seem to understand the impact of a pilot on school district finances. Just one comment about what Lynn Archer just said about the estimates or the factors that are in the application. The developers are assuming a 4% interest rate on the $17 million cost of the garage. The city of Kingston could probably finance $17 million at a 2% municipal tax-free rate. The difference in that over 25 years is more than $5.5 million. That money is not going to go to the developer. It's going to go to the banks. So this is why there needs to be independent analysis of the proposal. And my 3 minutes is probably up. I have more to say, but I won't. I'll just let it go with that. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, so I'm turning off the timer. Okay, next is Alona Ross. Alona, I've unmuted you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you. You have no video by your choice, right?
My laptop doesn't have a camera.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an issue.
Hey, my name is Alona Ross. I live at 557 County Road 2A in Olive, New York. When I first heard about this project, I was mildly optimistic, but it didn't take long for the alarms to go off because of the palpable duplicity on the part of the developers. They have concealed the identity of the investors under the guise of trade secrecy, and contrary to their professions of openness, they are hiding the names of the individual human beings who are members of the LLCs. The two LLCs involved. Given that a Kingston alderman is rumored to be one of those members, the IDA would be enabling egregious conflict of interest if they were to pass this pilot. Also, I wonder whether the IDA has considered the geotechnical engineer's report about the high water table and the dangers that it poses to any construction and the special care that must be taken to the basement to any subgrade work. Moreover, I am concerned about the subsequent silence on the part of the developers about this issue. Geotechnical problems are not my specialty, and they may not be the IDA's area of expertise, but it doesn't seem to be anybody else's because there has been no discussion of that report. And we do have to remember that the last garage had to be torn down. As to the economic issue, a pilot for the Kingstonian cannot possibly stop the troubles of brick and mortar retail and the onslaught of online, but it can deprive Kingston of $30 million, and it will handicap the prosperity and the true economic welfare of the community that you, the IDA, are supposed to guard. The employment and economic activity numbers bandied about are dressed to impress, but if you drill down for the truth is what the developers told you on September 9th, that there would only be a handful of permanent post-construction jobs that they themselves can vouch for. The rest are not within their control because the developers themselves will not be hiring them. The tape recorder style repetitions of wildly misleading spillover economic projections are akin to calling Amy Coney Barrett a Rhodes Scholar when in truth she went to a small college named Rhodes down south. And given that Joseph Bonura is the recipient of 2 99-year pilots in Poughkeepsie that will deprive that city of $1 billion, that's billion with the B, it ought to shock the conscience of any observer that he has dared to come to Kingston and ask for a pilot here. Another major premise that is false is that this is the only spot in Kingston for a garage and that otherwise the city would need to build an overpriced garage on that spot. But turning down this pilot will open the door for a better project for this spot, one that will bring in a fair flow of tax revenue. It will also open the door to finding a better location and solution for parking. And lastly, unlike this project, it will also open the door to a better solution that will truly fulfill the IDA's mission of enhancing the true general prosperity and the true economic welfare of the people of Kingston, not a boondoggle that will favor a few at the expense of the many. Lastly, I will be foiling taxing jurisdictions for a list of all people who supposedly support this pilot to ensure that we don't have any ballot fraud in Kingston. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I was muted, but I did thank you, Alona. Next is Sarah Rank. Sarah, I hope this is the right Sarah.
Yep,
Yes?
there I am.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight.
Sure.
Wealthy developers who want to build high-end housing and see high-end profits must pay their fair share of tax. This is not a project that should receive taxpayer money. It is not senior housing or a skilled nursing facility, projects Dan Baker just used to explain the kinds of projects that have received pilots in the past. In fact, the one supposed public good that got this project rolling, increased parking in Uptown Kingston, is clearly not going to happen. The numbers just don't add up. And in fact, the area will see a reduction of available parking on this site. And I will add that it is driving me crazy. It's basic math. It does not work. There will not be more parking. Our schools can't afford to wait 25 years for revenue from this project to start trickling in. The developer's own materials set out a 50-year timeline that is speculative at best, fantastical at worst. We are in the midst of a crisis now. Our schools are facing huge budget cuts. The taxpayers of Ulster County are being asked to subsidize luxury housing for a possible benefit that won't begin until after most of us are dead. It's illogical and unsustainable. The developers are asking for tax subsidies, but they won't share their financials with the public. That's unfair and unreasonable. Some elected officials have seen them, but how can the citizens of this county provide any real insightful comment on this project without seeing the numbers? The developers want our tax money, but they also want to keep their secrets. This is not a private development. It's a public-private partnership, and taxpayers have every right to see and understand the full picture. I agree completely with Lynn Archer's earlier comments. We need, at the very least, a thorough and thoroughly independent evaluation of this project before any commitments are made. And I really hope the IDA will take their responsibility on this very, very seriously. There is no going back from a project like this. Thank you very much.
Sarah, can you please state your address for the record?
Sure, I live at 150 Main Street in Uptown Kingston.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, I just want to make sure that he's not the one who just told me he had to get off. Yep, it was somebody that just had to leave, so I'm taking him out of the mix here. Next is Patrick Logan. Patrick, you should be receiving your request any second.
Hi there.
Hi, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Logan. I'm an attorney with Rodenhausen, Shaw and Polidoro in Rhinebeck, and I'm here on behalf of several property owners in Uptown Kingston. I'm not here to provide a direct comment on the project tonight. Rather, I want to request that the IDA keep the public hearing open beyond tonight and beyond the 14 days as is already stated for at least an additional 30 days to allow for adequate public comment. Several weeks ago, my office submitted a FOIL request for all of the IDA's records relating to the pilot application. We did not receive a response until approximately 4 p.m. yesterday. We believe that certain documents were not provided to us, and we have appealed that FOIL response. Until that is resolved, we do not believe we have received an opportunity to comment on the application materials in full. So all I'm asking of you tonight is that you permit us the time we need to obtain all of the relevant information about this application and then properly study on it, which again, we believe we will need at least 30 days to do. So in addition, people have already touched on this. My clients are actually in the process of hiring a third-party financial analyst to review the information when we do in fact receive it. Continuing the public hearing for at least an additional 30 days will allow us to hopefully submit this analysis, which I believe would benefit any review of this application. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Patrick. Jimmy, are you able to, did you have something or no?
No, we'll address it later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Next is Scott Lanzarone. Asked to mute and start video. Scott, you should have received my requests. Scott? Okay, I'm gonna ask that you raise your hand then and wait in line after this, please. Next is Rick McColgan. I've asked to unmute you and also asked to turn on your video.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it. Some of the things that were addressed tonight were very scripted, and it's really interesting to see that. But as I do live in Hurley, just to let you know, but I grew up in Kingston my entire life. And one of the things that I find very interesting is why people are against progress in the city of Kingston. Progress is going to bring tax dollars, jobs, and everything else. And right now, the school doesn't have those dollars. So why is the school against a project like this when the dollars are not there? What should be happening is the school board, Mr. Shaunzi, should be very accepting of a project going forward to help increase tax dollars, jobs, taxes, everything else. So I really don't understand why the school board in particular is against this project. The people of Kingston want it. The Common Council obviously approved it. So why not let's go forward with a project that could only help the city of Kingston and Ulster County as a whole? So Mr. Shaunzi, I'm appealing to you directly. Let's approve what needs to be approved on the board and let the people of Kingston know, and the people that are paying taxes into the school district. And I live in Hurley and I pay a ton of dollars into this school district, and let people know that this is a great project for the city of Kingston and the county of Ulster and the Kingston City School District. Thank you for your time tonight. Have a great evening.
Rick, before you jump off, can you please state your address for the record?
We are 835 Lucas Avenue Extension in Hurley.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, just want to see. Okay. Next is Jess Mullen. Jess asked to unmute you.
Hello.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, I'm not going to do my video. I'm here actually to read a statement on behalf of New Paul's Village Mayor Tim Rogers. I live in Kingston, and if there's time at the end, I can speak quickly. But this is from Mayor Tim Rogers. On September 15th, 2020, the Kingstonian developers published the fiction versus fact document on their website, which stated that the developers and city officials are comfortable that the increased parking is adequate for peak demand and any excess employee and hotel parking can be accommodated in the adjacent plaza. It's commendable urban planning for the city to encourage the developers to partner with the adjacent plaza owner to provide parking. This also makes sense because these extra spaces will be necessary as the Kingstonians' hotel, apartments, restaurants, and retail space will use the vast majority of parking in the 420 space garage. Please review City of Kingston Zoning Code 40534, parking space ratios. Reading the code and using some simple arithmetic shows how the Kingstonian requires approximately 345 parking spaces, hotel 34, apartments require 271, and commercial space 40. The developers also stated in their fiction versus fact document that without the garage component, there would be no pilot requests as one would not be needed. The pilot starts and stops with the cost to build, operate, and maintain the parking garage. If the project is only adding 75, 420 minus 345 parking spaces, not even the 200 that the city asked for in their 216 RFQ, the UCIDA should take an extra hard look at whether to grant a pilot to build to 75 parking spaces. Additionally, plans include charging users 3 times more for parking, $1.50 per hour, than the city charged just a few years ago. As mayor of the village of New Paltz, I object to the proposed pilot for the Kingstonian. On September 9, 2020, our village board adopted a position statement about pilots and housing that's available on our website. Explains how all 23 Ulster County towns and villages and the city of Kingston are part of a collective that shares the sales tax our municipalities collect countywide. Costs for things like fire trucks, stormwater infrastructure, and snow plowing that are not paid for with sales tax, we know all too well, are primarily funded with expensive local property taxes. Forfeiting property tax revenue via a pilot means more reliance on sales tax revenue. The Kingstonian developers hired Camoin Associates to author a fiscal impact statement to promote their project. I encourage the IDA members to review that document and welcome anyone who would like to reach out to me to discuss its assertions and assumptions about how much new spending and sales tax may be expected from the Kingstonian. In 2014, I was before the IDA board commenting on the use of spending baskets and their, quote, new annual sales calculations for a different housing development. I'm again troubled. Thank you, Mayor Tim Rogers.
Jess?
Yep.
Did you state your address? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Yep, 28 Henry Street, Kingston.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I just want to take a minute really quickly to remind anybody or to let anyone know that jumped in after the rules were read. If you want to speak, please raise your hand with the raise hand feature. If that doesn't work, please call the office at 845-943-4600. Next is Justin Orishon.
Hello, you can all hear me, I'm assuming. Yes, great. I'm glad to be here with you folks. Thanks for taking public comment. I appreciate hearing the mission of the IDA at the beginning of the meeting, which was to really be a steward of the financial well-being of our Kingston community. I live in Kingston, 207 Washington Avenue, near Uptown region. And so I just want to honor that. I believe all of you take that commitment really seriously, and thus at the face value of this project could understand why it feels like progress and why it feels really appealing. Things like, you know, hearing free parking, economic development, jobs, housing, even affordable housing. But my own concern and the concern of a large amount of community members here is the nuance of those details in the context of the given moment that we are in Kingston. You know, in 2017, the mayor said that you can't raise taxes to pay for this parking because it'll tax people out of their homes and their apartments. But the thing is, despite the tax break of this parking is not free. It will have a human toll. We have to understand the context of the given moment, which is, you know, in 2017, most recently reported by the annual Housing Affordability Survey, 55% of our county are rent burdened. That means they pay 30% of their income towards their housing. 30% are severely rent burdened. That means they pay over 50% of their income towards housing. From 2017 to 2020, that has only rapidly increased, and displacement in Kingston, due to a myriad of factors, including some development, has increased greatly. And now on top of that, COVID has extremely exacerbated that issue. For anyone on this call who is housing secure or owns a home, if you're not directly connected to the families who are really hurting right now, it's really hard to understand how people are in pain and how this will not benefit all of our community, how it will indeed hurt many of our community members. Because we have seen that already going on. People who have lived here for years having to move out, and that being purported because of rent increases because the market rate is being raised continuously. And so I want to come back to you know, this idea that this will serve the entire community, and I want to challenge our assumption of that. You know, when we talk about transitional housing for many middle income people, this is above market rate. It's $15,000 to $28,000 per unit, and that's above what the average person makes. I'm at the medium rate of income in this community. I would not be able to afford that housing reasonably. And so and I'm a millennial. I'm one of those people that loves the coolness of Kingston and all of that, and loves to walk around. So we have to consider that when we're thinking about this. And there's only 14 affordable units, which is a very small minimum. So this will inevitably up the market rate, will inevitably be touted by other folks, understandably, as saying, you know, come here, move here, raise our rents, and that will continue. It will hurt members of our community, even with the other affordable housing being built. Thank you. I appreciate you taking my comment, and hope you consider those other people that are going to be impacted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Okay. Next is Tony Marmo. Tony, I'm asking you to unmute. And can you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure. My name is Tony Marmo. I'm a property owner at 214 West Chestnut Street in Kingston. And I own a business on 231 Clinton Avenue, Norman Staffing in Kingston. I do reside in Ulster Park, however, but I am a taxpayer in the city of Kingston. Owner that employs people, tries to find people jobs. So I speak in favor, strongly in favor of this project and the pilot that goes along as a necessity to make this project successful. You know, this project is about integrity and leadership. The developers have a history of both in this community, as well as being visionary. There is nothing on the landscape in the future that would even come close to the magnitude and impact of this project. The pilot is necessary to make this happen. You know, again, I've been in this community for about 35 years now. I've seen a lot of failures, a lot of attempted projects. This one really hits most of the areas that we need to address to make all boats rise in the city of Kingston and beyond. So I want to speak strongly in favor of the proposal and adoption of the pilot, and thank the IDA board for considering this, and hope that this does move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, next is iPhone. iPhone, please state your name and address for the record. You should have gotten a request to unmute yourself. Okay. Jimmy, that's it that I have for comments that had signed up ahead of time. There are none in my email. Oh, I have a few more hands that have come up now.
There you go. They're not giving us a finger or anything, are they? We're going to get everybody in who wants to be in.
Of course. Jim Shaughnessy, I see that you raised your hand again, but I'm going to have to go to Phil E., who has not spoken yet. Phil, you should receive a request to unmute you and to start your video if you so choose.
Hi, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear me, but I'm just calling in also. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, hi, great. I'm Phil Erner. I live at 51 Clinton Avenue, Midtown Kingston. And I want to oppose this pilot plan and this whole project receiving any public funding whatsoever. We're in the middle of a global pandemic with an economic meltdown where in our community hundreds of people have to receive food every day because they lost their jobs, because they don't have health care. And we're talking about giving tens of millions of dollars to a private luxury development. This is outrageous. This is immoral. We need to have a conversation in Kingston and Ulster County about what our government is for and for whom it is and what purpose we come together to pay taxes, to make laws, to do all the things that we do as a community. Because if we're not going to care about the most vulnerable among us and those who have the least and those who are getting sick from a pandemic politically created, then we got another thing coming, folks. So in no uncertain terms, I am here to, as strongly as possible, oppose this project as proposed. I ask that anyone with the power to stop it, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, if anybody else would like to speak, please raise your hand with the raise hand feature or call the office at 845-943-4600. I'm going to try one more time for iPhone here. Okay. And then I have Jim Shaughnessy. Looks like you had something else to add. And everyone else seems to have spoken. So I will unmute you here. Hi, Jim, you're still muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted now, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. My first comment, I wanted to take 3 minutes, if that's what I took, and just say the technical comments that I made about the impact of a pilot program on the tax levy limit of the school district. That also applies to the county, and it also applies to the city of Kingston. That impact of under the tax cap law. One of the foundations of public education is that the public pays for it and everybody pays for it. And with 129 market rate, maybe luxury apartments in the Kingstonian, there's going to be people living in there for 25 years without making any contribution or a very minimal contribution to the school taxes in the city of Kingston. I find that objectionable. I'm not necessarily against the Kingstonian project per se, but I am against that financing of it. And I want to say something also that is obviously absurd. And I don't know if it is me or the proponents of the pilot who are being facetious. They say that with the pilot, we will get the garage at no cost to the taxpayers. And the developers want the pilot, so they will be completely reimbursed for the cost of the garage. A logical conclusion then might be that the parking garage is free. Nobody has to pay for it. Obviously absurd. So thank you for the opportunity to speak again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Anyone else, Rose?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
John Perry, I'm going to ask to unmute, and you have the option to start your video.
Yes, I'm going to refrain from starting the video, but I do just want to say I am a business owner of over 20 years in Uptown Kingston, as well as building owner at 33 North Front Street, again, located in Uptown Kingston. I've seen many ups and downs of developers coming through this area over the last 2 decades. The local developers that have come in and are willing to, have real skin in the game. Honestly, we couldn't ask for a better folks doing this project. As far as the IDA moving forward, I would hope that they keep this to the fact that it's the business development factor of the IDA, nothing more than housing and things of that nature. I'm hearing a lot of people speaking tonight about that. This parking garage is a necessity for the current and future development of Uptown Kingston. Again, I've been here for over 20 years. This parking lot garage needs to happen. It potentially would create much more sales tax to offset whatever potential revenues would not be coming in from the sales from the IDA in reference to in lieu of, which by the way, the developers aren't getting money for this. It's in lieu of taxes. It's not money to the developers to create this. This is out of their pocket. So I want people to understand that that is exactly what this is. They are not getting money from taxpayers. I want to be very clear with that. So again, I'm pushing for this proponent for the IDA to move forward. I do not see a 30-day extension for any kind of public hearing. This needs to move forward. These gentlemen have been waiting for over 2.5 years for this project. They've invested a ton of money, and it's time to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And then I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I don't remember if Scott Lanzarone, if you spoke yet or not. So I'm going to unmute you here.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah, I own a building on 183 Wall Street. I live at 146 Bone Hollow Road, and Kingston really needs 2 things. Needs tremendous amount of housing, and we also need parking. This project does both. So in that sense, I'm for the project, and I urge the board to please vote favorably upon it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, I have no emails, there were no phone calls, and nobody else has their hand raised.
Okay, if that's the case, I'll now move forward to close this public hearing. Before closing the public hearing, I will first ask Dan Ahouse, who's appearing on behalf of the company, if he has any additional comments.
Okay, let me find him, hold on. Dan, you're unmuted and asked to start video, should you choose.
Where are we
Okay.
at here? Is it Dan A. House or Brad Jordan?
I unmuted Dan. I'm gonna unmute Brad just to make sure. Brad, did you have anything to add? Brad? Okay, I remuted him.
Going
And
once.
it looks like they have nothing to add.
Okay. And I will remind you all that the agency will hold the comment period for this proposed project open until 5 p.m. October 14, 2020. All comments received by the close of the business on October 14, 2020 will be included in the official record of the agency with respect to the proposed project. If you would like to submit a comment during this extended comment period, you could do so via email at info@ulstercountyida.com or via the regular mail addressed to our office, P.O. Box 4265, Kingston, New York 12402. Further, the meeting at which the agency will formally consider the comments received regarding the proposed project is scheduled for October 21st at 9 o'clock in the morning. This meeting, like all meetings of the agency, is open to the public. So I now will close this public meeting at 8:21 p.m. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay. Thank everyone for participating.
I just don't know why, but I can't, I have to be so careful about what I would say, but like, why doesn't anyone see that the need for middle class in our houses, they don't